Hello and welcome to the DH Pickleball Show. My name is Mike Behrens. We are here to talk about David Henry's pickleball journey. We got him on the screen with us right now. We're going to welcome him in here in just a second. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know that this is actually going to be episode 4.5. And the reason is because we batch record these episodes and we do the updates more in real time. And we didn't plan exactly the right way and are a little bit behind schedule with getting some stuff out. So this is going to be 4.5. We're going to replace it, or we're going to put this in between episode 4 and 5 as a July results update episode where we can talk to my good buddy, David Henry. David, how are you, man?
Hey, very well, Mike. How are you?
Pretty good. I didn't throw you under the bus too much with that and put the blame on you. I said we. It's definitely both of us.
well, you were very kind, but I better set the record straight. Is that the reason we like you said we batch record, but then the reason I'm so far behind in posting is just because I absolutely suck at video editing and managing things, and it's just real time consuming. I mean, it's a great. I love. Sure. Doing this show with you and working on it. It's just so much fun. But what I have learned over the past few weeks or month or so that we've been doing this is that, it's time consuming. Once you get the recording done, that's just the beginning, and then there's a lot of work behind the scenes to get everything downloaded and then get all the timestamps for the different topics that we, So I'm rewatching a video and I'm noting a topic and a timestamp, and then I press pause and write it down. Then I press go and I listen again. So it's fun stuff, but it is 100% my fault as to why this is episode 4.5.
Yeah, no, that's all right. It's all right. No big deal. I think everybody is totally cool with it. We'll get some results here. We'll talk about what we're going to talk about today. For sure. I hope everybody's enjoying some of the content so far. I know in episode 3, we just had a results update for June. And so now we're going to talk about results update for July. But in June, you shared some pretty cool stuff, talked about winning a tournament. Like, it was awesome to hear some of that. But you kind of alluded to the fact that you didn't really have much going on for July. So did that stay that way, or did you end up getting some stuff going in July?
Yeah, it unfortunately stayed that way. They're just, I think there was one local tournament I just couldn't play in it due to some family scheduling conflicts that we had. But yeah, there wasn't a ton, I guess, around the area. Without traveling too far to play in July. So yeah, it stayed that way. I did not play a single tournament in July, but what started in July, and I know we'll get to it, and that'll be a lot of the content today, was a ladder league, a 4.0 ladder league that I played in. So we can spend the bulk of the time probably talking about that.
Yeah, that was going to be the next question, because I remember we talked about it privately. Yep. You and I talked about the ladder league and your ranking in that and all that kind of stuff. And so before we dive into ranking and where you're at and how it's going, because for those of you that have followed David on Instagram, he did post that I don't want to spoil it. So you have to stick around to the end of the episode to hear it. But what is the ladder league? I don't know. What is it? Please share with everybody what a ladder league is all about. Give us the background of it real quick.
Yeah. And I know you're super familiar with volleyball, with you and your wife. And I'm not sure if this concept maybe exists in volleyball, or if maybe it's just called something else, but I don't know. But basically what it is like in this league, it's at the Middletown Pickleball Association. That's where I play most of my outside time. It's about 25 minutes away from me. There's 18 dedicated pickleball courts with lights. It's cool. And the Middletown Pickleball Association, they do a great job of running the association and having leagues and having tournaments and having beginner clinics. They do a tremendous job. So, big plug, kudos to them for all they do. But so they put on this league, and what it is a mix, so men and women. I would say probably, just guessing off the top of my head, I would say probably 75% of it is men. But it's open. It's men and women, and then the skill level it's men's and women's. So sometimes playing men's doubles, sometimes playing mixed doubles. Sometimes there could be a court of all ladies playing women's doubles. But the skill level is 4.0 plus. Is what the skill level is. Yeah. So decent level of competition. And so what it is, the concept is basically, so there's 60 people in the ladder league. So they allow for They dedicate 12 courts to the league, 5 people per court per night, and so there's 60 people in the league. And so basically there's a ranking of 1 to 60, okay? And that's the ladder. So up and down the ladder. So 1 is at the top of the ladder, 60th is at the bottom of the ladder. And as you play and compete based on your results, you either move up the ladder or you move down the ladder, or sometimes people move up a little bit, move down a little bit, and they kind of just pretty much stay in the same spot. But that is kind of what the ladder league is. So obviously the goal is climb the ladder.
Climb the ladder.
For sure.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so it makes sense. And you climb the ladder by just winning, like your wins and losses. That's how they determine whether you climb the ladder.
Yeah. I mean, in general, yeah. But there's actually a pretty cool. I don't fully understand it, but an algorithm behind it. So there's a site out there that's very popular. As far as for signing up for tournaments and registering for tournaments and reporting results and things, called pickleballbrackets.com. Okay. There's another one called pickleballtournaments.com and pickleball brackets, and they actually merged. And so it looks like they're running most of the stuff through pickleballbrackets.com, but that's where this league is run through as well. So that software, that app facilitates, I don't think it's an app. I shouldn't say that. I think it's a site, but that site facilitates the running of tournaments, facilitates the running of the ladder league. So behind that, for a league, there's obviously an algorithm that determines how you move up and down the ladder, and when you move up, when you move down, how many spaces you move up on a given night, or how many spaces you move down on a given night. And again, I don't fully understand everything behind there, and I don't know if there's different settings. So maybe if the people that are running the Middletown league, maybe when they set up the league, they might be able to choose a certain set of parameters that run the ladder, or it may just be, hey, if you're running the ladder on pickleballbrackets.com, everybody uses the same algorithm. I don't know that.
Gotcha.
But what I know is obviously your wins and losses matter. Okay. So 5 people on a court per night, and you obviously want to try to win your court. Okay. Yeah. So if you win your court, you're definitely moving up, but there's other factors that come into play as to how far you move up. So for example, on a court of 5 on a given night, people are seeded 1 through 5th on that court.
Sure.
So if you're the 5th seed on that court going into that night, the algorithm as the 5th seed is not expecting you to do well. Okay.
That's fair. Yeah.
So if you win your court, so if you come in as the 5th seed and win your court, it's going to vault you up a decent amount, a little bit. because basically you defied the expectations big time. So it was expecting you to finish 5th on your court, but you finished 1st, so you vault up. Another factor that really helps you vault up is point differential. So we've talked in previous episode how important points are, and how 1 or 2 points here and there have burned me in the past. It's also benefited me, but points are important. And so point differential is another factor. So here's how you really vault up the ladder. If you come in as a 5th seed on your court, you finish 1st that night on your court, and you have a large point differential of points won versus points lost, you're really going to shoot up. And the same thing in the downward motion as well. If you're the 1st seed on your court on a given night and you finish 5th, you're moving down. So while I don't understand exactly how the algorithm works, that's a pretty good general understanding of how it works. So got it. You want to beat expectations or match expectations. You want to win, and you want a nice large point differential.
No, that makes sense. Is it round robin when you play? 5 people on a court. So somebody's 3 people are sitting all the time, or do you play doubles? Like, how are the matches?
Yeah. A good question. It's doubles, and so 4 on a court at a time, and 1 person sitting out. And the app runs it. So that the app basically says David Henry is playing with Bob Smith, and you're playing against Trent and Tom, and Susie's sitting out, and that's game 1. And then you sit there courtside and you enter the scores right there on your phone courtside. And then it takes you to game 2, and in game 2 it may say David's sitting out, And so it kind of runs it. But yeah, five on a court, 4 playing at once, 1 person sitting out, and everybody has a bye once a night.
Oh, okay. So how many matches are played? What's the math on that? Is it four matches?
Five are played on the court, but
Okay.
4 are played by me because I have to sit out one. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
and
it.
you
Yeah,
play with
I'm
each, and you play with, and you play with each person once.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
That's okay. That seems odd, but you play doubles, and why isn't it a singles? Just so more people can be involved.
Yeah, doubles is by far in pickleball. It is by far the most fun and most popular.
Oh,
I would say. I mean, I'm totally guessing here. I would say like 98% of people that play pickleball play doubles only. Like it's that high of a number.
Wow.
Very
cool.
few. Yeah, very few people play singles.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then, when did that start?
I think that was
the first night.
Let me see if I got some notes here about it. I don't know if I have the dates written down, but it started. It was the first Monday in August. Was the first. Well, I think we actually were supposed to start July. We had a couple of rainouts, so I had actually got started. I think the first week in August.
Froze there for a second.
Yeah, you're back with me. Can you hear me?
I got you now. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Technical difficulties. No big deal. Let's go back to it. So the first week was when?
It was first week of August. First Monday in August is when it actually got started.
First Monday in July, you mean? The ladder league?
No, you're right. You're right. Man, see, I'm so confused with the timing. July. First week of July. So we were supposed to start late June. There were a couple of rainouts. The first 2 weeks actually got rained out. And then I think so. Yes, first Monday of July, which I think was the 3rd. Right, the 4th was a Tuesday this year.
Yes.
So yeah,
it was.
So July 3rd was week 1. I'm glad we got that sorted out.
We're August in the first week of August right now, so it's
yeah. I'm losing track of time. I am in the senior age bracket, so you know.
Fair enough. All right. So so in that first week, where did you start? Out of the 60 people, were you 60th?
No. So that is a piece that I don't fully understand at all, how the starting positions are determined. So in our June update, I did allude a little bit to I was disappointed with where my starting rank was for this ladder league. And so I had played in this same ladder league last summer and last fall. And I think I did start down like by 46th when I started out the league. And again, that was just me signing up cold coming into the league. So I don't know how it determined to put me at 46th, but it did. And I think over the course of last summer, last fall, I was just getting started. I was playing okay. I think I ended up moving up into like the low to mid 20s by the end of fall. So from 46 to 20 something. Then I didn't play in the spring league. There's no winter leagues because this is outdoor and we're talking Ohio. And so there's no winter league. So I didn't play in the spring league because I hate Ohio spring weather. It's cold, it's windy, it's just no fun to play pickleball in that weather. So I didn't sign up for the spring league. So then I did sign up for the summer. And maybe not playing in the spring league penalized me a little bit. I don't know, but I started at 40th in this league. And I was scratching my head about that. I mean, I kind of took it as a personal insult, but no, I'm kidding. But without me asking, a friend of mine in the league, he emailed the tournament director about me and another guy and saying, hey, they shouldn't be starting at this position. And I'm like, oh, that was nice of you. You didn't need to do that. I didn't ask you to. But anyway, so the tournament director, or the league director, I'm sorry, he reevaluated it and moved me, started at 30th. And again, I don't know if that was a finger in the wind. Let's put him at 30. I mean, I don't know how that was determined. Maybe. I have no idea how that was determined. But I started at 30 for this league.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And then so week 1, how did it go? Did you kick butt?
Yeah. And that's why
for that night.
And this will have to rely on my notes and not my not my senior memory. But so the first week, all right, I went 2-2, and I finished second on my court. And I started at 5th seed that night. Okay, so the algorithm was expecting me to be 5th on that court. I finished second. So the algorithm liked that. I also had a high point differential that night. And so after that night, I vaulted up from 30th to 22nd. So I jumped 8 spots in that 1 week. Looks like we froze again for a second. Did you hear me?
Yep. For just a second, we did.
It's probably my internet here. I have no idea, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just recap that. So I started 30th because I was a 5th seed and I finished 2nd, and because I had a high point differential, I went from 30th to 22nd after week 1.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a good week.
Yeah, that's great. That's a big jump.
Yeah, it was a huge jump. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show how important, because again, finishing 2nd on my court was good. 2nd out of 5 is good. But going 2 and 2, that wasn't that great. But because I was expected to finish 5th and because my point differential was high, that's what kicked me up 8 spots.
Yeah, I know. That makes a ton of sense. So then they base the ranking on the courts on, what your record is, because you play 4 matches. So then based on the point differential of those 4 matches is how they rank the 5, how you finish on the court, right?
Well, they rank it on wins and loss first. So head-to-head wins and loss. So if someone goes 4-0 on a court, they're going to be first, and points don't even come into factoring factoring to where they finish, but it does factor into how much they jump. So if they go 4-0, finish first on the court, it's a given that they're moving up.
Sure.
How far they move up is a factor of what was their seed on the court that night and what was their point differential. But but as far as determining who finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th on a court, that's head-to-head game, or that's games first of all. Then it might have to go to points to decide it if 2 people are tied.
Got it. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then on to week 2. Did you keep going? Did you keep having success in week 2?
I did not. So week 2 was really, really demoralizing. It had me scratching my head, and but I figured it out. So let me explain it. So week 2, I went. I started as the 4th seed on my court. Mm-hmm. I went 1-3 that night.
Oh.
And I finished 5th on my court. And ooh. Yeah, and I was scratching my head. I was lethargic. I was exhausted. The heat was getting to me. And sure. I mean, Mike, I probably played some of the worst pickleball of my life that night.
Oh no.
Like, I was off, and I was so frustrated and discouraged about it. And then the next morning, I woke up with just a flaming sore throat, headache, stuffy nose, cough. Yeah. And so in a way I was relieved, because I'm like, oh, that explains why I was so lethargic and not feeling well, that I had this illness just brewing, and then it finally kicked in the next morning. So actually I was very relieved to be sick. I know that sounds weird, but I was.
I remember you texting me telling me you were sicker than a dog.
I was, man. I've never had a summer cold, cough, sore throat like that, but I rested and kicked it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. I'm glad you kicked out of it. So how long were you sick? A couple days?
Yeah, I was down for a full week. Like I just made sure. Yeah, it kind of kicked my butt. So I finally played that in week 3. We'll talk about that. I finally played the next Monday. That was the first time. So I played the Monday night where I sucked it up, and then I didn't play or do anything until the following Monday. But because I went 1-3 and finished 4th, I moved down. So I moved from 22nd to 26th. So I moved down 4 spots that week.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, whatever. You were sick. It's okay.
Yeah.
One bad week. So then week 3, did you come back up?
I did. So
yourself?
Yeah, I did. So week 3, let's see here. I started as the 2nd seed on my court. So the expectation by the algorithm was fairly high. And I went 3-1, and I finished 1st that night. So I beat the algorithm by a little bit. It was expecting me to finish 2nd. I finished 1st, and I had a decent point differential. It wasn't anything gigantic, but I had a decent point differential that night. So that night I jumped from 26 to 19. So back up the ladder 7 spots. So I was thrilled with that.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. It's
Yeah.
under the 20s. Going from starting at 40, then them fixing it to get to 30, then you're under the 20s. That's a win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's good.
Absolutely, man. I'm plugging
Especially,
ahead.
just imagine if you didn't suck week 2. Like if
I,
you would have played decent week 2.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wish I could turn back time somehow and
Yeah.
change that, but I can't.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so
Yeah.
then week 4. How many is it? Just 4 weeks, 5 weeks? Where you
So
at?
we've got 5 that have happened.
Oh, okay.
We've got 5 that happened in July, and then we're recording this on, what is it, Friday, August 4th is when we're recording this. So this coming Monday, the 5th, the 7th, I've got one more. So we're going to talk about 5 weeks today, and then I have one more that we'll talk about in the next August update. And so, yeah, moving on to week 4, I went in as the 5th seed. And so what I'm learning is I love going in as the 5th seed on a court.
Yeah.
Because if I do well, then, man, I rack it up. So I started as 5th. I went 3-1 on my court that night, and I finished 2nd. So beat the algorithm again. I had a small differential, but because the algorithm was expecting me to be 5th and I finished 2nd at 3-1, it vaulted me up. So after week 4, I moved from 19th to 13th.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Super pleased with that. And so then the final week 5, or the final that we have to talk about now, and we have one more to play, but the final week to talk about is week 5. And so I went in that week. So people, I got to tell you this. So people opt in to play. So you opt in through the site, and you have to opt in within like 20 minutes of the start time. So it starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time on a Monday. And so you have to opt in for that week so it knows who to juggle around and how to put all the court assignments together. And so I was watching it all day because I wanted to be the 5th seed on my court again so that I can, have potential to really kick butt and vault up. And I was watching it, and then I knew this one guy. I was sitting there at 5th seed on court 2. I was sitting at 5th seed on court 2. And I knew there was one guy who normally always plays who hadn't opted in yet. And I'm like, please don't opt in. Please don't opt in. Well, he opted in late in the day on Monday. And so that pushed me back to court 3, but it had me as the 1st seed on court 3.
Dang it.
Yeah. So the algorithm is expecting me to do quite well. And so I did. I went 2-2 and I finished 2nd on the court. Okay. So it was expecting me to finish 1st. I finished 2nd. Differential was fairly small, but because I finished 2nd on the court, I moved up 1 spot. So hey, I'm still going in the right direction. So right now I am sitting at 12th spot.
That's awesome.
With a chance next week, one more week left. And based on, I know some vacation schedules of people and things. I think that I am going to probably start next week, the final week. I'm probably going to start as the 5th seed on court 2, which bring it because then I've got a chance that if I can win the court or finish 2nd and do really well as the 5th seed on that court, I have a chance for my final spot to jump quite a bit. So
that's awesome. So wait, is there gaming the system here? Like, how does that? How do you know or have an idea now that you're going to be the 5th seed on court 2? How do you know that?
Yeah, I know that because I'm 12th now. So 12th would put me at the 2nd seed on court 3. So 5 on court 1, 5 on court 2. 12th would put me as the 2nd seed on court 3 right now.
Fair. Okay.
There is a lady though that's above me that she got injured, I think. Ooh. So she's not playing. So I know she's out. So for all intents and purposes right now, even though it says I'm sitting at 12, I'm sitting as 11. Which will put me as the 1st seed on court 3. But there's another guy who is above me who I know is on vacation this Monday. So he's out. So that is how I know that for all intents and purposes, I'm sitting at the 10th spot right now. So that puts me as the 5th seed on court 2. Now, there could be fewer people that opt in, so I could move up to be the 4th seed on court 2 or the 3rd. But as of right now, I'm sitting at 10th.
Got it. So that's how this ladder league works. So it's 12 courts, 5 people per court, and they do it based on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is on court 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Bingo.
so on and so forth, to where the 56 through 60 is on court 12.
Bingo.
Got it. Okay,
Got
cool.
it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So then every week, if you jump to the top of court 12, okay, I'm following now. I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah. Now, sorry if I didn't do a good enough job explaining it ahead of time, but
No, I think I was just missing how the courts got picked. Right? You said the algorithm did it, but I guess I just didn't put 2 and 2 together, that it was top 5 on one court, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah. And so having heard all this, is there anything like this in volleyball? Or is volleyball just more tournament round robin? I mean,
they use round robin, but they use it for seeding the next day. They'll do points based on points and wins and stuff. It's usually just round robin, but because you're not, like in most volleyball tournaments are just 1-day tournaments. They're not like a long league, so it doesn't.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
They don't have that.
Yeah, I know ladder leagues are popular in tennis, and obviously with pickleball being a sister sport to tennis, ladder leagues are pretty popular in pickleball too, and they're fun. They're really fun.
Now that you say it, I might have to ask my wife. I could be speaking out of turn. She plays a lot of volleyball, and so she plays in leagues. And so maybe in a league that she's played in, they've done something very similar to this. I don't know 100%, but in the club volleyball that I'm familiar with, no, that doesn't usually happen. So.
Okay, yeah, it's a great concept. It really is fun and exciting, and it's neat. I enjoy it.
Well,
I'm going to do the fall league too. What's that?
Yeah, it sounds really cool. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun over the course of a league. Especially if you started low and you just work your way up, that's cool. It's always fun for people. So
yeah, and what's neat about it too is that given enough time. So this league's a 6-week league. It's a little short. I think some of the ones last year were a little longer, but given enough time, the ladder does do a really good job of sorting things out.
Sure.
And positioning people. And again, that's when I was at 40 and 30. I mean, again, I'm not trying to be super arrogant, but that was a joke. And I knew that the ladder would work its way out, and I would end up in the higher positions. Where the ladder, what's interesting, what I've observed too, is that over the long term it'll work itself out, but the ladder can kind of develop pockets. And what I mean by that is maybe court 5, just by starting positions and maybe people not playing certain weeks, or for whatever reason, let's say court 5, which is the 5th best court 5 might have some pretty decent players, but they're beating up on each other. So 2 might move up one week and 2 might move
so
down.
Stuck.
But then the next week, the 2 that moved up didn't do that well, and they move back down, and they kind of meet again. And so sometimes you can get these little pockets where you're kind of playing the same people all the time, and that pocket might even be better skill-wise than really what court 5 should be, but it kind of gets stuck. But again, over time, given enough time, the ladder always works itself out.
Well, and I feel like now understanding the ladder league a little bit more, I feel like 6 weeks might be a little too short for 60 people. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. I agree. I want to say last year when I played, I think we had 10-week ladders leagues.
Oh, cool.
But I think the reason this one was short at 6 is because the spring league. The reason I don't play spring leagues in Ohio, the spring league got rained out so many times that it pushed the start of the summer one back. Therefore, the summer one had to be condensed to 6 weeks.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Freaking spring leagues.
Exactly. Screw those things, man. I'm never playing in those. Not in Ohio.
Yeah, no. Okay. All right. So that was pretty much all you played for July, if I'm understanding right.
Yeah. That was it. I mean, I played a lot of rec and open play and stuff like that, at other times. But from a formal league or tournament perspective, that was all I did.
Cool. All right. Well, what's on tap for August? So you got anything planned?
Yeah, I do. I do some really cool things for August. So I actually, today's, like I said, is August 4th on a Friday. And so I have a tournament tomorrow in Middletown at these courts where I normally play, the Middletown Pickleball Association. I'm playing in a tournament tomorrow. I'm playing men's 3.5 50 plus. And you remember from the episode, the last results update we did, when Andy and I won that Toledo tournament. Going into that tournament, I wanted to play 4.0, 50 plus.
Right.
And Andy said, hey, let's do one more at 3.5. And if we do well, then we'll move up. Well, we did well. And so from now on, we're playing 4.0. It was just that we had to register for this tournament that starts on tomorrow. We registered for that before we had won that Toledo tournament. So that's why we were sandbagging one more time.
Yeah, sure.
But what's interesting about it is Andy actually had to bail on me for the tournament tomorrow because he does some business consulting, and the company that he's doing business consulting for, they're running another small tournament at Lifetime Fitness in the Cincinnati area tomorrow. And just because of his job and relationship with them, he's got to be there instead. And so I certainly understood. And so I have my good friend and neighbor, Mark Blair, is playing with me. And great guy, a lot of potential. He's just really new to pickleball.
Sure.
And so, I've seen Mark at times play really, really well. I've seen Mark at other times not play so well. But he's gradually improving over time. He's doing great. He's going to get there. But again, he's just new. And so that's who I'm playing with tomorrow. So given that I'm playing with him and he's new, it's probably fine that we're playing 3.5.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good thing.
Yeah. It's good, but really, I do. I'm signed up with another one with Mark in September, and he wanted to play 3.5 as well because he's new.
Nice.
But after that, I mean, it's gotta go up.
Yeah. No, it's good. Is that so? Is tomorrow's tournament all you got for August, or do you have anything else?
No, so I have that one in tomorrow, and then late August, Andy and I are playing one. And that one is 4.0, so we are moving up, but it's actually open age, so it's 18 to 60. So that could be challenging, and we're moving up a skill level, and we're not just playing old guys. So that one could be a little challenging. So the beginning of August and the end of August for tournaments, and we can talk about that. And then I started though yesterday, so we may have to you and I can brainstorm offline, but we may have to change the format of these results updates a little bit and maybe make them also a results and training update as to like what I'm doing to train. So there's a guy locally that I've played with a decent amount just in open play and rec play. Really, really great guy, super nice and great player. I mean, he's a solid 4.0, 4.5 player. He's not 50 yet, so I can't play him with him in the 50 tournament. I think he's in his mid-40s, low to mid-40s. But anyway, Jeremy Campbell, he asked me recently, he said, hey, would you be interested in drilling on a regular basis at the Pickle Lodge? That's the new facility that opened indoors close by us. Yeah. And I said, absolutely, because what happens with almost all people with pickleball? You just go out to an open play, you go out to a league, and you just start playing. Yeah. Hardly anybody practices and drills.
Sure.
It's just kind of the nature of it. And again, most people are recreational or semi-tournament league players, but they don't have the aspirations like I do to play at a higher level. So most people just don't drill and train. They just go out and play. And it's fun, and that's fine. Well, Jeremy and I both have, high aspirations, and we feel that we both have high ceilings, so that if we can really train and drill and practice, we can elevate our games to those higher ceilings. And so, he asked me, do you want to start drilling? So, we've got on the calendar for probably the next 2 months, 1 2-hour drill session.
Boom.
Every single week. And so last night was the first one. So we drilled for 2 hours last night. He's great. He's like, look, you just got to show up. He's like, I'll have all the drills mapped out of what we're going to do. And I'm like, hey, perfect. That's even better, That's
awesome.
And so we did that last night, on August 3rd. So we won't talk about it now, but that may be something that we should add, to the show, to not only just talk about my results. We got to talk about my results to hold me accountable and make sure that I'm improving and progressing. But it might be good also to share some of the training and other work that I'm putting in.
I agree. I think that's a great addition to it, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, then we don't need to talk about it offline. We settled it right here.
Problem solved. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so August, you got a couple tournaments. I'm excited to hear your first official 4.0 tournament. I'm excited about that one. Yeah, I'm excited to hear how you guys fare. It'll be a good test, especially against potentially some young bucks in there, right?
Yeah, there could be. There could be. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, pickleball is getting to be a younger and younger game.
Sure.
But it still is dominated, by older folks like me. So there could be, but we'll see. It'll be fun.
No, that's awesome. That's cool. All right. All right. Anything left to add for this results update for July?
No. For episode 4.5, I think we're good, man. As always, I really appreciate you and all the help you provide and hosting this show and partnering with me to get all this information out. And I think, as I always think, when we end a show, I think this was a good one and we nailed it and super pleased.
Nah, I love it. I love it. Well, okay. So with that said, for David and myself, this has been episode 4.5 because we'll just say David, what he told you earlier. It's all David's fault. It's all his fault. Right. This is episode 4.5 of the DH Pickleball Show. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe, all the things to help support the show. Definitely appreciate it. If you have questions for David, please leave those in the comments. Would love to answer any questions. Share the episode if you're getting some value from this. That's the goal here, is to just try to provide as much value as we can as we follow David along on his journey, and he shares the tips and tricks that help him be more successful. So anyway, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the DH Pickleball Show, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks.